We are continuing with our final team with the 2023 MIVA Media Day. We are with Coach Ryan Perrott, also known as Rock. Rock, please thank you for taking time with us. And why don't you give us a brief opening statement and introduce your student athletes with us.
Thanks so much, Jonathan, and thanks everybody for being a part of the first MIVA Media Day. I think this is an exciting thing for our conference that has had so much success over the last decade to actually establish and create now as we move forward. Going into my 9th year here at PFW, coming off one of our best seasons in quite some time, making the MIVA Conference Finals back in the spring, losing to Ball State in a great contest. I have 2 players that are integral to our team's success with me. Junior middle blocker all-conference player Bryce Walker, and an All-American John Dietrich on the left side.
I'll make Vinny ask the first question because he knows Fort Wayne very well from his time as a journalist out there.
Well, Coach, I guess we'll start off. You kind of look at your team, as you mentioned, we've talked in the preseason, different look from your team compared to last year, but what most excites you about this group of players that you're putting together in 2023?
The new guys and the experience and the energy they bring to the table. Sergio Carrillo coming in from North Greenville. We'll see a lot of playing time for us this season. And Noah Melendez, libero out of King University. I think those 2 guys in particular, there are a couple others, but those 2 guys in particular added to both Bryce and John and Zach Sullivan from a year ago and Mark Frazier, puts together a really unique group of talent, a lot of versatility, and again, the experience factor, I think, especially from Sergio, because he made the national championship tournament last year, and obviously the success after beating Princeton in the opening round is going to really take us to a different depth level that we came close to experiencing back in the spring, but we're not quite there yet. And we're really looking forward to what they can bring to the table in the competitive season.
And then for both the players, what do you feel are going to be your calling cards this season in terms of, the biggest strengths that you're going to be able to bring to the table?
Well, I don't feel, I think, and I can't answer that question because.
Sorry. Yeah, I meant for the players to answer.
Oh,
sorry.
I can still answer. Go ahead. You want to start? Okay, go ahead.
I think it's just the new energy of the team. Again, we have a lot of new guys, and what Coach said was, the experience, and then bringing the new guys with us. I think we're very excited, and I think we can do a lot of damage there.
I think our offense is going to be our biggest strength this year. It was last year, and just how we run our offensive system, the new things we're doing this year, I think that's going to be a good consistent for us. And then we just got to pick up the defensive and serving aspect of it to finish it off.
So, Rock, my hot take on this call is that I think your toughest non-conference opponent will be Carthage. I'm not going to ask you to comment on that. That's just my hot take. My question for you is, how much fun is it going to be to coach against JW?
It's going to be fun. We're doing it, and it's something that I had thought about for quite some time, obviously, and winning the back-to-back national championships at the D3 level, and his team is going to win the championship again. There's another hot take for 3 in a row. But I just thought it was fitting that we have a recognition night for him. And he did so much here as a player, so much as my first assistant coach. It's going to be a great honor because we're going to have a great celebration before the contest in the middle of January. His team is tough. You know what's coming. They're tremendously athletic. I've spent a lot of time with them over the last 4 months. And we're going to have our hands full when we play Carthage here. But our non-conference is going to be tough. I think Hawaii, because we're playing Hawaii, UCLA, and Penn State in Hawaii, I think those guys as well will be at the top of the list in terms of tough contests during the non-conference part of the season.
Brandon probably has a serving question to ask.
Yeah,
of you.
I'm the serving question guy during these days for some reason. So, but I try to keep it a little bit light. Coach, we've heard from a lot of different coaches today, kind of when it comes to their strategy, their theory, their idea of what they want their team to look like from the service line. We obviously know that it's a super important part of the men's game. If you could maybe talk us through a little bit about what you're trying to instill in your team. And then there is a second part follow-up, which I will get to, which will involve the players. So go ahead and give us your overall thoughts about that.
Well, the men's game, I mean, I just had this conversation a couple of weeks ago during the women's tournament, and people telling me how efficient the women serve at the level. And of course they do. The net's lower and the athlete has gotten stronger, bigger, more athletic. You know, if the net was raised in the women's game 2 and change inches, which I think it should, the serving perhaps is not as dominant as it would be now. But in the men's game, you got to serve the ball. I know people talk about all the time about the service errors, and you know, if you don't serve the ball efficiently, and you take a look at our conference in particular, when you have loaded offensive teams like Lewis and Ohio State and Loyola in particular, you're going to get throttled defensively. You just are, because of the physicality of these players. So we do a little bit more strategic serving, if you will. We just don't go back and try and blast the ball and try and overpower serve receivers. We just don't try and do that. You have to be strategic, locate the ball, mix up your paces, I think, in order to set up your defense and be successful that way. But if you don't serve the ball efficiently, and these are two of the better gentlemen in our gym who can serve the ball with authority, who do have green lights to do so, you're going to get beat more times than not in our conference.
And to follow up with that, a little bit more lighthearted, we have thrown around some ideas, and one of them would be allowing liberos to serve. I'm curious to see what your thoughts were, and then maybe for the players as well, what your thoughts were, if that would be something that would be good for the men's game or not.
Well, for me, I think eventually we're going to get to that point. And the reason why I think we're eventually going to get to that point is because middle blockers in particular at the club and high school level don't play the backcourt. And when you come to the university level, it's very difficult to try and teach somebody a skill, as important serving is, to now serve the ball and be efficient at it. I think over time, there might be a push by coaches or an association to say, listen, let's get the libero to serve. I'm not a fan of it, of course. We're changing the game too much, in my opinion, but I mean, I can talk for days and days and days about that. But could there be that in the future? I think, Brandon, I think you might be onto something, because in the rally score game, the errors can't mount because it's not aesthetically as appeasing to fans and audiences. I mean, I know there's the push right now to get rid of the double contact. And I go, well, now we're just going to eliminate skills because we can't do the skills. We're dumbing down the game even more. So I mean, there's a fine balance between it, of course. But I think you're onto something that I think in the future, just because of the way development is going for the middle blocker, because it's a dying position, it's like the center in basketball. You're going to probably see that in the future, maybe at the collegiate level, that liberos will serve.
I agree with him as a middle myself. I think it's going to take away some strategy to the game, because a lot of the times you use that serving sub to get out the middle to put in a better defensive player. I think not being able to have to use a sub in that instance and letting the libero serve takes away a little bit of like the strategic aspect of like a coach's job. And as a middle, like when you're competing with other middles, sometimes it's just that serve and how well you can play defense that wins you the spot. So as a fellow middle, like I would kind of like want to keep the rule how it is, and you know, leave the importance of that aspect of our game, like personally position wise, and like leave that how it is.
Vinny's suggestion was allowing coaches one wild card per set where the libero can jump in and serve. So, but that might be a little crazy.
But it's a laminated card, and we love laminated cards. So you would get 2 laminated cards. Rob.
What color would that wild card be?
Oh, well, it would be like the Uno wild card.
Okay, got it.
But-
Got it.
But I do want to ask it in all seriousness. It's a kind of a fascinating topic when we talk about middle serving, Bryce, because we see some middles over there, just struggle to get a float serve over, and you're a dynamic server from the line. So what did you do before you got to college to really hone your serving skills so when you got here, you could take it to the next level?
It took a while, honestly, to let my club coaches let me serve, but I always wanted to. I don't know what clicked or what happened. I think a lot of what formed my serving skills was all the camps that I did as a high schooler, and between USA and going to local college camps and stuff like that, where college coaches got to more influence the skill of my serve. I played at Future, and we have a small gym, so not a lot of room to serve there. And we know in convention centers there aren't a lot of room to serve. So it's a big adjustment coming into college when you have 25, 30 feet to serve from the back line. It's just a big adjustment, and trusting what the people are coaches and other players are telling you. And it's a big adjustment that you have to go and just tackle as a freshman. And you got to get it as a freshman, because I feel like if you don't get it early, you might lose it. So I don't know.
So I know we've talked a lot about serving. Do you want to switch gears, even though I think, Rock, we could spend hours talking about this topic. I want to ask for the players, being seniors, veteran leaders on this team, what have you done this offseason to really help integrate some of the new players on the team and not only make them feel a part of the team, but really establish this is the Macedon culture that we have here. These are the expectations.
I mean, I think right from the get-go, right from August, right as we come into school, we get together and, I guess you could say set the standards, or, get them acclimated as fast as we can by getting them right on board. We always do or again, hanging out, or even in the summer when they're about to come in, we just kind of get them prepared for, this is what the expectation is, and this is how it's going to roll.
Question for both Bryce and John. Lindsay, your assistant coach, one of your assistant coaches from last year, has moved on to Princeton. What will you most miss about her coaching style?
For me, Lindsay was also always a really good source to elevate my game, to kind of go beyond just collegiate level. We were always looking at professional film, looking at the pro guys and seeing what they're doing, what's happening that's new in the game, what can we try in practice, to just kind of up our level from just where we're at now, and think about what we can do that's above and beyond that. And I'm trying to get we have some young guys in my position, so I'm trying to bounce some ideas off of them too, because it sucks kind of missing that presence to look at that stuff with her. So trying to bring it in where I can.
Yeah, I mean, with me, it was a lot of the technicality side, coming in as a freshman, just not knowing the whole college level game, and her coming to me and pulling me aside and teaching me new things, the little details, is definitely something that, we all miss, of course.
Coach, question for you. You look at your roster this year compared to last year. You got some new players who transferred in, a couple players who transferred out. Obviously, the portal in men's volleyball isn't like it is, maybe in women's volleyball or football. But we're seeing a little bit of growth in it. So I want to ask, how do you as a coach kind of navigate kind of handling the portal and really bringing in some transfer players?
Well, the portal is here to stay. It is the greatest agent in collegiate sports. And obviously we do peruse it. Not everybody, let's put it this way, not everybody in the portal makes Fort Wayne a destination. But there are some individuals that are out there who we have had conversations with, and we're being recruited out of high school or club volleyball that we've seen. It's just something that we put in the back burner, that we evaluate our roster after every semester about who can fit in long-term for us. who can make a contribution, who can make a difference, who are the impact players. And we do that through each position. And I think when you take a look at the transfer portal, obviously you have to be very careful by jumping the gun, especially with those individuals perhaps you never got an opportunity to see or evaluate when they're at their collegiate institutions. And with the portal too, I think what a lot of people may be overlooking from time to time, there is a reason why they're leaving. I'm not to say, of course, we've had a couple individuals transferring here, but those were for academic reasons because they exhausted their 4 years. So they were able to utilize their COVID year, their coming year, Sergio and Noah being those examples. But, you know, moving forward, I hope we never get to the level of what the women's college volleyball transfer portal looks like. I mean, the pages go on forever. It's insane. I don't know how you keep up with that. But it's here to stay, and it will make some impacts with some programs and immediate ones in particular for those that are able to transfer in and then compete right away during our regular season.
Well, Coach, talking about the players on your gym or in your gym you have this season, who are a couple of the players who have made the biggest leaps in their game since we saw this team in May?
Well, I think there are probably two in particular, even though you guys haven't seen them, but I have. Wilmer Hernandez is one of them. Last year, primarily a server kind of / DS / outside for us. He's made some great strides. He's trained with the Puerto Rican national team over the course of the summer. His ball handling skills are exquisite. Great server, can do a lot of things with the volleyball from behind the service line. Not physical, but really smart with the ball in his game management. The other individual that I think will be an impact player will be Zach Sullivan. I think the experience that he had a year ago with the playoff run that he did, he's very versatile. He can do many things, not just set the volleyball. And he's a really good server and puts us in positions to be successful. So I think those two individuals in particular this season will have a big impact on our team.
I'll take the final question. One thing that I've noticed on your website, and I guess I'm a nerd just because I look at rosters and schedules and whatnot all the time, but I know you always have a kid on your roster that is from Team Impact. So last year it was Cree Thompson. Can you talk a little bit more about how that came about? How that came about?
Yeah, that came about because our women's volleyball program worked with Team Impact prior to COVID, a couple years prior to COVID. And when their 2-year run concluded, the head coach, Steve Florio, came and approached me about working with Team Impact. And that's how a young gentleman about 20 minutes south of here down in Bluffton, Indiana, Cree Thompson became an honorary part of our program. And it was a wonderful experience for 2 seasons to work with me and his family. He's healthy now. We're elated to know that he is in good health. Obviously, he's got some challenges as he gets older, but it's probably going to be under control with all the great care that he's had and received medically over the last several years. So really good family. He's a great kid. We had a wonderful experience. It was interrupted, unfortunately, because of COVID-19 and limited in terms of our social engagements that we can do. But it was a great experience, community building wise for us to give back to he and his family.
And just to follow up to that before we wrap up, and this is for both the players, because I know, Purdue Fort Wayne, your team, highly involved in the community, lots of stuff that we don't see on camera that isn't, promoted, but you just go out and do. So for the players, what are some of the things that you've learned by just going out in the community and the outreach that you guys have done?
Well, I think the recognition that we get doing it especially is very rewarding. People, it's not the biggest town, so people all over town recognize you. And realize the thing that you've done. We enjoy doing stuff like that. So, yeah.
Two things for me. I think it's just a great way to, like John said, see our community, see our town, see different parts of our town that maybe we wouldn't know were there. And then I think it's also it's great team bonding, whether we know it or not. We're there for a long time. We're doing a lot of work together. That's maybe not in our normal setting in the gym or in the weight room, classroom. It's a good way for us to just get out, bond together, do activities together, and help our community in the process. And I think it's just a win-win for everyone.